Freaks, take a look at that fence right there. Notice how it's not put together correctly? That's because a tree service took it down to fit their stump grinder in the backyard, and on the way out, they just sort of slapped it together and took off. Now, a kid could have climbed underneath of it, squeezed through there, or a dog, and definitely if anybody stood on the top post, top bar trying to get across, it would have came out because neither end was attached back in the post. So I had to readjust that, and that's something that you might want to learn how to do so that when you're out there in the field with your lawn care business, you'll be able to take care of a few things that you're asked to do or you kind of need to do. There's three main fences. You got your chain link fence, your wooden fences, and your vinyl fences. Now, going through these other ones with your big mowers, sometimes you might bump them and knock them just a little bit out of alignment, and then the gate won't latch back. So just learning how to readjust a few things goes a long way in your lawn care journey. So I'm going to cut this backyard with the small mower and give you my healthcare update. I did make a video in the hospital, but when I played it back, I repeated myself a lot. I sounded high as a kite, and I talked about weird stuff. Even to the doctors, I talked about weird stuff. I'll let you see a clip real quick, then we'll come back and take care of this yard and talk a little. Well, I don't know when I woke up. They said I was talking about tacos and stuff, and I invited everybody for a taco party that took care of me. I don't know. Like I said, goofy as heck. Now this yard is on a slant in the backside, so everything drains down by the fire pit. And it had rained all day Sunday and Monday. Missed it on Tuesday. And on Tuesday I went out working. I could only do certain lawns. And when I went by this one, I got out and I trimmed it. I did that to like 3 different lawns. And then I came by and cut it. This was on Friday. So it had been trimmed 3 days prior to this. Saved me a little bit of time. That's another tip for you. And so here is the update. So in November of 2023, I had my heart freak out on me. I ended up in the ER, and while I was there, I flatlined for over 40 seconds before they brought me back. I don't remember anything, but yes, that was a wake-up call and it scared me. During all the tests that ensued afterward, I found out that I have an enlarged aorta. I had a problem with the upper right chamber, the upper right valve. And of course, I've already had WPW, which is Wolff's Parkinson's White, when I was younger. And that was a whole nother disaster. So they were checking me out and I was being monitored. Then in May of 2024, I had another incident where my heart was just going crazy. I went to the ER and I was in a flutter. And so they took me back there and my heart was racing, and like it was an irregular heartbeat too. So it wasn't just super fast, but a good heart rate. It was like skipping things, which meant I could have threw a blood clot. They had me on blood thinners, and they had to shock me, cardio convert me, and reset my heart back to normal. But it still wasn't normal. It got rid of the rapid heart rate, and it was more of a steady heartbeat, but it had these inconsistencies. So they scheduled surgery for me. Before I could get to surgery, my face started swelling up, which I made a video on that. Take a look. I look wild, freaky as heck. And so when my face swelled up, it was because of the blood pressure medication, lisinopril, that put me on. So it swelled my face, my tongue, and my throat started to close. Crazy, freaky scene. There was another setback, so I had to be off of that medication. In the meantime, they put me on a heart medication that was to regulate my heart so that maybe I wouldn't have one of these episodes before the surgery, which had gotten moved because the doctor had to move it, which is understandable. So that pushed it out a week, and then the lisinopril thing pushed it out another week or two, and now all of a sudden I have another incident. Some of you will remember the videos I made in June where I was complaining about a pain inside of my stomach somewhere. I could tell it wasn't like the muscles or a hernia. It felt like an organ hurting. Well, that was the start of what became a ruptured celiac artery. They called it a dissected celiac artery. So yeah, when it finally tore through, I was back in the ER, and good thing I went. You know, you got to get, and if you feel anything freaky, you just go to the ER. You should know your bodies. You bump your elbow, you hurt your elbow. But when it's something weird that you can't figure out, get there, because this was a big deal. So they had to take care of that, which was not an easy deal. They had to go in. The celiac artery connects to your aorta, which mine is enlarged, and that means the walls are thinner from being stretched out from high blood pressure. Well, all the way down, and apparently the celiac artery is all stretched out too, and thinner, and it ruptured between the spleen and liver. I'll tell you what, these doctors are amazing. Thank God for them. They're so needed. Now, this was a very touchy situation. I was on blood thinners. I could have bled out. Good thing I went when I did, and they fixed me. So this pushed back the heart surgery for a little while longer. When I eventually went in for that, they went up through one side of my groin, and they took care of the upper valve up there on the right side. Then they went up the other side, and they did an ablation on this electrical pathway that was giving me rapid heart rates. And while they were in there, they saw another one that they thought might take over in its place. So they went ahead and took care of that one too. So I should be a lot better. They call that double coverage. So now here we are in August, and I just had my results from my follow-up CT scan. And the celiac artery, it all looks like it's healing up correctly and no new tears. So that's good news. Also, the echo and the EKG on my heart turned out great too. They actually took me off of the heart rhythm medication that was making me lightheaded all the time. And so I'm happy for that. And right now, I think I'm in good to go territory. It's been a heck of a year. And man, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was a wasted year, but I got a lot of stuff done health-wise that I didn't even know I needed done. So I'm going to look at it again as a success, glass half full, half empty. Well, I got a bunch of stuff fixed inside of me. I didn't need it to go wrong in the first place, but we're going to go with that. It's a positive. My yards, I started out putting out, signs in places and trying to get more accounts, and I was picking them up, and then all heck broke loose with me, and I managed to stay with them for a little while, but I went ahead and gave a few lawns away, and others I just kind of dropped because I wasn't going to be able to keep up with them, and nobody really wanted them. Actually, a lot of you, so many of you have reached out in all the various forms. I read all your messages, couldn't respond to everyone, but you offered to come help me and cut lawns. Like some of you were going to drive from out of state for like 4 hours, and you say, Freak, I'll be there on Saturday. I'll leave at 6 a.m. and by 10 we'll be on a lawn and I'll do all your lawns for you. And I'm like, I mean, who has that kind of network of people that would just, it's amazing. I'm humbled by it. Kevin Hansen was ready to pack up, and him and his dad and everybody would come out here and cut grass for me. But I did have some people help me out, and that's just amazing. They're overwhelmed by the response from people. So I love you all for that. This video right here is some footage. Here's a mulch pile that I had delivered to my house in the spring, and I had started on it, and then I got too sick to finish it. The mulch here is turning to rot. It looks like ash right there. It's all white. It's rotting. At one point there were mushrooms in it. So that's what happens when you have a big pile of mulch that sits around. Behind it is a big pile of dirt that I always keep here at the house, because whenever I pick up a new yard and I find holes that one of my wheels are going to go down in and maybe scalp the yard, I have these like 5-gallon buckets, and I just scoop them about half full of dirt and put 3 or 4 of those in the back of my truck. And next time at the yard, I just carry them out there and dump them in holes and level them out. So that's a hot tip for you. Keep a pile of dirt around the house. You can take them to yards and just fill in a few holes each time, and eventually you get a nice smooth yard. So again, thank you to everyone that's reached out. That's your update. I'm back in action. I know some of you planned bigger and better things for 2024 and had setbacks. Well, that was me this year, and might be one of us next year. We just plug along and see what happens. So until we meet again in the future, I love you freaks. Hang in there and don't be scared.